Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast, and we have a very special episode for you today because we're going to be talking about the Author Equals Authority Summit at the end. But right now, we're going to just talk about the Author to Authority concept and what that means for you in your business, in how you see yourself, how you present yourself, how the world sees you. So we're going to have a pretty intense conversation today about, going from author to authority, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So I am so thankful and happy to introduce the host of the Author Equals Authority Summit, Latara. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm so excited to be here.
When we first met and you're like author equals authority, I'm like, oh yeah, we're good. We're
I
pals.
know, right? It was a match made in heaven. Like, okay, we're on the same page here. We have to collaborate.
So Latara, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself, just so the audience gets to know you a little bit.
All right. Do you want a history or just what I'm doing now?
Maybe just a little bit of your professional history.
Okay. I worked for Dream Homes magazine for 18 years. Worked my way up the ladder and thought that was going to be my forever career. And when the COVID shutdown happened, I got laid off, and I immediately started my own business because I thought, why not just take all of the experience and everything that I've learned from this job and uh, and start my own business. So that's what I did. So now I am a digital marketing strategist and IT consultant, and I help speakers, coaches, and authors create a strong online presence so they can become a client magnet.
Oh, I love it, love it, love it. It's funny the things that happened during COVID. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, 2019, and audience, if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard this, but I'll tell Latara, in 2019, it was a rough year for me. It was a
Mm.
very rough year for me. I hit December going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this business open.
Ooh.
And it was only the little voice of God that just kept putting the word hope, just hope. 2020 is going to be better. That was what God was saying to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to quit this, but it was not good. And so, normally in my business, it's about a 90 days from the time I, really start generating leads till I start seeing conversions. So, January 2020 comes. I took a break over Christmas. I'm like, I just need downtime, right? Hit the road running in January, hit March. And, where everybody else's business were shutting down,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, the one of the two biggest reasons why my clients don't do books was gone, and that was
Mm.
time. So all
Mm.
of a sudden, all these people who'd been wanting to write books had the time.
Oh
And
my
so,
God. What an interesting side effect. I love that.
in 2019, when, a lot of people's businesses were flourishing and all that, and, mine feels like it's dying, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And, all these things that we go through as entrepreneurs. And then 2020 hits and everybody else's world crashes and mine just explodes.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, God, like you just have, but I could understand how
Incredible.
people felt because, 3 months earlier, I was in the exact same place.
Mm.
So COVID definitely did have some interesting effects, but I think one of the things that COVID did was it gave us a new perspective as entrepreneurs. It
Mm-hmm.
made us realize that we can't always rely on the traditional methods anymore.
Right. Exactly. That's the direction that I foresaw on the horizon even before COVID, and that was more of a confirmation for me that we are indeed going the digital direction. So people need to jump on board, and the businesses that don't jump on board are the ones that are going to be left behind. So that's why I'm trying to help so many professionals uh, make that pivot and that transition into the digital space, because that's everybody is going to the internet now, so you need to be there.
I think, yeah, not only that though, I think we're in an age where you have to stand out.
Yes, for sure.
Like
Hmm.
if you want your business to grow, you have to get yourself out there. You have to become known. I mean, okay, if you're a completely local business, even then you have to become known. The more known you
Hmm.
are locally,
Yeah.
um, it was funny for years. This was a long time ago, but I used to do Avon and did Avon for about, I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that.
Wow.
It was really good. It was a good thing at the time for me. I grew past it, but for a period of time, it was a really good thing for me. And one of my focuses was building a very strong local business.
Nice.
And so I went and I did events. I was everywhere. And in fact, people didn't know my name, but I was the Avon lady.
Wow,
People would
that's
see me
awesome.
in stores and come up to me and they're like, "Are you the Avon lady?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am the Avon lady." And they're like, "Do you have a brochure?" "Yeah, I got a brochure on me, right?" But the thing
Great.
was that because I put myself out there, I became known. And I think in today's, economy, today's climate, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't let people see
Mhm.
you, um, you're going to really struggle in your business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's getting more and more diluted every day. I was saying diluted, but it sounds like diluted, so it could be either way. But back in the good old days, we had like 12 television channels, but now we don't even have TV anymore. We have all these streaming things, podcasts, virtual TVs that are, it's kind of like a hybrid. I don't even know what it is anymore. And there's just so many different mediums that you can go through, all these different channels. It's just harder and harder to get in the spotlight.
No, it's funny. They still have commercials
Yes, yes.
unless you pay for it.
Exactly.
Oh, so let's shift gears a little bit here,
Okay.
and you know, um, let's first just take a quick look at authorship because when you become an author, there are some, preconceptions that people have. And I think they work to our advantage as entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, and coaches. So I'd love for you to talk about it, and then I'll put in my 2 cents worth.
So tell me exactly what this question was. Kind of a broad, broad statement.
Why does authorship work as an
Okay.
entrepreneur, to help get you out there?
Okay. So I believe that one of the things that being an author does for you is it creates vast authority, and hence the name author equals authority. And obviously you're on the same page there, because we realize that writing a book, even getting it published, is just the first step. There's so much more beyond that people don't even consider until after they get the book published. A
Mhm.
lot of people are like, marketing is this afterthought that you're like, okay, well, the book sales are down, so what am I going to do? But it's better to go into it with your whole marketing strategy in place, because you can use your book as a tool to get speaking gigs or land clients, or make proposals to huge corporations. I mean, the get on media, get on TV shows. It opens the door to unlimited possibilities, and that's why I'm so excited about authorship.
The funny thing is there's this preconception out there, and it's that when you're an author, that you are an authority or you are an
Hmm.
expert
Hmm.
over someone who's not an author.
For
And
sure.
and
Yeah.
it's just it's not even true, but it's
The
how we
perception.
perceive
Hmm.
it's how we perceive the value of books. I mean,
Exactly.
if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you've heard this story that people will move books they have not even read yet from one house to another. It is sacrilegious almost
Yep. Mm-hmm.
to throw out a book. Like, people will not throw out a book. They either keep it or they donate it.
Right.
People do not throw them out because it's almost like, I'm going to go to hell if I throw out a book.
It's like you're throwing away knowledge.
So, people who write books are automatically considered to be more of an expert than somebody who's
Yeah.
not. And that, like I said, it's not true, but why not use that, in your business to help you change how people see you? Now, it doesn't, I mean, we always come across these people with big egos and they think they're an author and they're like somebody. You're like, yeah, I read your book. Yeah. But I think, it is a wonderful tool. It's a tool that um, can be used just to really put yourself out there. But, it is a tool. And I think that's the thing that most people are missing out on and they
Yeah.
don't get taught about. See, they've been taught by this guru, whoever, that if they write a book, all this business is going to come flooding in.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't tell you, and you use the word already, is the only way that happens is if you market the book.
Right. Exactly.
It's not a field of dreams where you just write this thing, publish it on Amazon, and all these thousands of dollars. Man, if that was the case, I've got a lot up on Amazon. I'd be like a millionaire over and over and over again.
Right.
But it's the marketing of the book that matters. It's getting, it's targeting that book to the right person and then focusing on getting that book into the right person's hands.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so I'm so glad you mentioned that field of dreams. That if you build it, they will come. No, 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 no. There's a lot more work to put into it after that.
So tell me about some of the things that you would recommend. So, we do have some authors who are listening to this show. What do you recommend to them? So they've got this book and, now they've got a box sitting in their garage and they don't know what to do with it. What would you
Mhm.
recommend?
Mhm. Well, there's a several different routes, and I would, if I were talking to somebody one on one, I would ask them what their end goal is. What's their vision for their book? Are they trying to make more impact in the world with it? Are they using it to get speaking gigs? Are they just trying to sit back and get the revenue stream coming in without doing anything? Like, what is your goal here? But there's different ways to market your book. There's a different way to use your book as a marketing tool. And to your point about if you have a book, you have the authority, you can jump the line in front of other people to go and get speaking gigs like podcasts. So it just really depends on what your end goal is, but if there's so many different marketing strategies out there, and that's one of the reasons why I put together my summit.
And you brought up a good point there because I think one of the misconceptions out there is that there's only one way to do it and there's
Hmm.
only one way to use a book. And, one of the conversations that I have with my clients, and we actually have this conversation several times through the process of, writing, editing, and publishing their books is, what is the goal for the book? What are
Hmm.
you going to do with this book once it's written? And sometimes that changes over time. And, people think that there's only one way to market a book. Well, there's not. And
Hmm.
the other misconception is that you make your money from selling the book. If you do it properly, you actually lose money on the book,
Right.
but you gain clientele who then pay you thousands of dollars for your services. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
and I think that's, part of the conversation. And, when I talk to my client about goals, for some of them it is to get on stages. Okay, so how are we going to use that book to get you on stage? For others, they just want to use it as a way a lead generation tool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which is perfect.
they want to get it into their target market's hands so that that
Mhm.
person knows that they can solve their problem. And so for them, it's not about making money on the book. In fact, sometimes
Right.
you lose money on the book.
Exactly.
Uh, but if you know, and here's where the marketing comes in. But over time, if you keep sending out your book to potential clients, over time you can even figure out your ratios. So let's say it costs you $20 to print and ship the book, and that's probably average. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more, a little bit less. It depends where you live and where you're shipping it to. A funny thing to note, I could ship a book from Canada to the US for about $12 to $15. My clients go to ship me their signed books after they're done, and it costs them $30 to $50 to ship a
Oh
book here to
wow.
Canada.
Oh no.
I'm
Oh.
like, I know it's a little expensive, you guys. I'll give you the money back. I just really want a signed book.
Aw.
um, but the thing is, when you look at it, if your services are 5, 10, $15,000,
Yeah.
people will bulk at spending $20 to send a potential client a book.
Right.
And I mean,
Yes.
I know it's costing you money, but the thing is that over time, if you know that on average, if you send out 10 books, so let's say that's $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to probably sign about like one, even $10,000 client, you kind of look at the math and go, that's a pretty economical way of.
Exactly. Yes. 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 Oh my gosh. Okay. So first of all, one of the things that came up for me was people are paying for ads. They're paying for Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever, YouTube ads. This negates the need to do that. This is your ad. So if you're going to throw money into ads, it's the same concept. And I also love that you touched on it's a means to an end. It's not just the book isn't the end all be all. It's what are you using it for? And lead generation is one of the most lucrative ways to monetize your book for sure.
The thing is that there are online ways, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But my recommendation is if you're going to do the online route with the online advertising, you better have a whole funnel in place.
Yep.
Like if
Yep.
you're spending all this money to get people to see your book, if you don't have anything after that, you're just losing out.
Yes.
And one thing I talk
Great
to
point.
my clients about is that they should be selling the books from their own website, not Amazon. Because what
Uh-huh.
people don't realize is that Amazon doesn't tell you who's bought your book.
Exactly.
So unless you have an amazing lead generation offer in your book that's going to highly convert, so a high number of people who read the book are going to sign up for your lead magnet, once they buy it off Amazon, you've lost them.
Yeah.
So, if you're planning on, selling your book online on that, then you're going to want to look at having a website, having a funnel. So they read your book, so they order your book. What happens after that? Right?
Right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
really and I mean, it's complicated, it's technical, it's an awful lot of work. I have done it. It's not my preferred way, but the thing is that a book should go to a master class. The master class should be selling something. Like you have
Exactly.
to have ways of monetizing it. One of the reasons why ClickFunnels is so incredibly popular is they have formulated it out. They understand
Mm-hmm.
that if you sell a book, okay, and you sell it, you do the pay shipping model, right? You just pay the shipping on it. And most times, if you price it right, that's going to cover the cost of printing the book and shipping it, or you might lose a couple of dollars. But then there's the upsells. So usually there's
Yep.
some sort of upsell where you can get the audiobook, the Kindle book, so you can have it while you're waiting to get the print book. But then on the next page, there's usually some sort of masterclass, and they offer something where even a low level $100, $200 course or whatever, and they know the numbers. So they know if they sell so many books, let's say they'll lose even $1 to $2 per book, but they know that every 15 people buy the book is going to buy a $200 course. So now they know how to monetize it and
Right.
actually
Yeah.
make money on it, as opposed to this becoming a lost leader.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point that you were making earlier, Amazon does serve a purpose, and that is to get to bestseller status. Because if you say you are an author, a published author, to somebody who, say, hosts a podcast, that's cool, but that's not as cool as saying you're a best-selling author. So once you reach that status on Amazon, then you can switch it over to your own site and you can start collecting those leads. You can start converting those leads, and yes, it's all about, the book is the loss leader in that regard. But I highly recommend sales funnels.
As much as having that bestseller is a good checkbox, I've personally found if you've written an amazing book,
Mm-hmm.
and you send that book to the uh, either podcast host or the conference host or whatever, a lot of times you can convert without having that bestseller badge, because they'll usually, if you send them a book, they'll at least open up and start reading it. And if you capture them right away, they don't care whether you're a bestseller, because your writing speaks for itself. So, I've done the
That's really
bestsellers,
good to me.
and if my client wants to do a bestseller launch, I help them do that. But I also teach them that you don't necessarily need that check mark to be able to
Mm-hmm.
use your book.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we've
For
got
sure.
about 10 minutes left. So I want to shift, because I want to give some time for us to talk about your summit. But first of all, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask every person who's either not an author or who's kind of done the compilation
Mm-hmm.
books. Um, if you were to write a book to build your business, what would you write about?
So I actually have a lot of books in the works that I have not published yet, because I wanted to build a program around them.
Hmm.
One of them is called The Creative Mind, and it's all about um, kind of family oriented exercises to develop your creativity.
Hmm.
Another one is all about branding yourself, specifically digital marketing. But
Hmm.
sometimes when I say branding, people don't get that it's like all of these things that are included. It's not just a logo and 3 colors or 2 colors. There's a lot more to it. So I've switched to calling it digital branding, but it's basically amplifying yourself out online. So
That is awesome. I love it. So let's shift gears here. I'm going to let you loose for a few minutes, and I want you to talk about the conference and things like, who is it really for? What are the benefits they're going to receive? Why do they want to spend some time attending this over the next few days? Well, the school is going out on the Friday and it starts on the Monday, so a few
mhm.
days from now.
Yeah. So first of all, one of the reasons is because I have such amazing and illustrious speakers such as yourself, who are sharing their distilled wisdom that they have taken a lifetime to acquire. So this is massive value. You're going to be taken on a journey that starts with, how do you write your book? How do you finish it? How do you publish it? How do you brand yourself? How do you market your book? How do you use your book as a marketing tool to build your business? And how to get speaking engagements as a result of being a published author. So it kind of runs that whole gamut from beginning to end.
So tell us about some of the people, well, besides me, of course, who are coming on and speaking at your summit.
Okay, so I have some um, podcast hosts. I have Henry DeVries, which was the person that introduced us to each other, and I'm so glad that he did. If you don't know him, he's going to be talking about having a book and a talk, and how to connect that together. And that's one of the crucial things, I think, in all of marketing, is making things connect to each other, because that strengthens and amplifies what efforts you're making in your marketing. So I'm also going to be having international award-winning speakers showing you how to become a speaker and how to present better, how to find speaking gigs, how to hone your talk, how to network with people. We're going to be talking about online course creation, because that's one of the things you can do is you can have a book complement a course and vice versa. So that, again, that's making connections. Oh my gosh, it just runs the full gamut. That's all I can think of at the top of my head, but there's a lot more that I'm not I'm not spilling all the tea there.
So how can people join the summit?
Through the link that Kim will share. And if you if you can't find that link, it's on EventRaptor. I don't know if you know eventraptor.com. And search for author equals authority summit on there. But I hope you connect with Kim on that, because she'll give you the goods.
Yes, I will. So give us some basics. What time does it start? How long does it run for? Talk about all that stuff.
Okay, so it's September 16th through the 24th. It's 2 to 5 Pacific time, 5 to 8 Eastern time. So it depends on where you are on the map. You might want to take a look, but it's in the evening every single day for 9 days. So it was 8 days, but I added a bonus day.
So will they be able to just come in? Can they choose who they're listening to? How does that all work?
Oh, okay. No, it's just one track. I don't have multiple breakout rooms and all that. It's just as simple, like just the main room. The speakers are there. The audience is there. You're not hiding behind a webinar wall where you can't see each other. Everybody can interact. It's really fun. It's like a party. You can unmute and ask questions and give your feedback, and just it's going to be interactive and fun. So
Thank you so much for coming on today. And I always give our guests on the show a time to share a final thought. So be the one thing you really would want to share that you feel would impact our listeners today.
So one of the reasons why I put together these connections was so that you can connect the dots as well as an audience. Because I feel that if you are an author and a speaker and a coach, these things complement each other. And like I said, they all amplify your marketing efforts so that you stand out among the noise, the giant sea of constant interruptions, and truly set yourself apart as an expert, or I should say as the expert in your field.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. And audience, this was a special bonus episode for you. So I did not have one that I'm going to direct you to, but as always, you can flip back through. But Latara mentioned Henry, and that's how we met each other, Henry DeVries, and he was on the podcast. So if you go back into the YouTube, or you go back into your podcast search and search for Henry, you will find that episode, and I promise you it was an amazing one. So thank you so much for listening and being a part of this special bonus episode, and we will see you on the very next one. Bye now.
Thank you.